are at a unique point in history, a point in history in which we have never been before, a moment in time where there is innovation about to happen, that is happening right now around us, that most of the world doesn't even see, that is going to completely transform and change the landscape forever. We have computing power and chips and deep learning and machine learning and the whole technology of Bitcoin and mobile applications and the internet coming to people, all these things converging at the same time to accomplish something that we are right at the forefront of.
The first 30 minutes that I met Brian, it was obvious to both of us that we have a tremendous synergy between the two companies. And not only from a commercial standpoint, but just from a philosophical standpoint and what we want to do with the world in lots of positive ways. And Brian shares that same philosophy, and then Will does too. And the three of us together, when we sit down and talk about taking my technology and what I do and what they do and putting it together, it's really, it's rocket fuel, to be honest with you. It's magical, really. I know those are big words, and I'm an investment banker. I'm actually quite cautious about not overselling, but that's really what this is. And it's why I'm so excited and why I'm involved in this.
Yeah, I most recently came from Intel Research Labs, where I was there for about 9 years. I've been at the University of Utah for 10 years now. When I was at Intel, we created the front end of the microprocessor that ran at 1/18th the energy. That's 1/18 over what the current product was doing.
I grew up in Switzerland. I studied there physics, and then I did my PhD in physics. And my first job was in the US, right here at Stanford. I applied my physics knowledge and my supercomputing skills that I learned at ETH in Zurich. I applied that here to do supercomputing simulations of the electron accelerator here at SLAC. So I'm a real hardcore scientist that also loves computers and loves crunching numbers on really big systems.
I was, I don't know if I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I had a couple startups that did well. One of them I took public, sold to a big private company, and then I co-founded an investment bank. And for the prior 10 years, I was raising money for fast growth companies.
I followed AI a lot, and it's really been my passion for my whole life. I really believe in AI and things that Bitcoin brings to the world as well. Personal power, personal empowerment through software, integration with machines, intimacy with machines even. And that's why I've got into virtual reality as well. So I'm a really big proponent of all these future technologies. I'd like to consider myself a futurist.
In third world countries around the world, they don't even have electricity in many places, but yet they have cell phones.
This is probably the number one thing I'm most excited about and passionate about is how Bitcoin's going to help the unbanked. They've been left out of the global economy forever. I mean, they've never been a part of it. And now they can be. And it's going to change the world.
We are using deep learning to better predict default rates for borrowers all over the world by letting this model learn from all the data that we collected. So assuming you have thousands and millions and tens of billions, whatever you have, more data is better, right? So imagine you have tens of billions of data points collected, and it doesn't have to be different people. It can be just more transactions from the same people. It doesn't matter. More data is always better. So we take all the data, we throw a deep learning model at it that sucks up the data, just like a little sponge, a brain that just sucks up all the data. And in the end, that sponge is formed just like a human brain. So the more data you throw at this model, the better that gets. And it will be able to just learn all about predicting default rates. That's what it does. This little brain in this system does nothing else but predicting default rates for borrowers.
We're number one, we're bringing in an efficiency in the calculation of these algorithms that doesn't exist anywhere else. The other thing that we're doing is we're democratizing this in a way and putting it out in a way where people all over the world can be running these financial transactions and in a sense become the bank themselves.
So all kinds of data can be used to predict human behavior. You can collect when they last bought something, how much they paid for it, where they paid for it, what they bought before that. I can do all kinds of time series. You can say what they tweeted at that time when they bought it. You can look at social media. You can collect all kinds of data together into an amalgamate of data, where in the end you have so much available data that the algorithm will decide what's good for it, and not the human. In the past, the human would decide and say, okay, I'll need this feature and this feature and this feature, and that's it. But now, with machine learning, you can just collect everything, and the machine will tell you what actually works and what doesn't. And it's often surprising to the human that something happens.
Just think about, like, if I was to go down and try to do this manually, what I would do as a human being instead of an automated program, I would go down and I would find out as much as I possibly could about the person. I would find out, what kind of a family do they live in. I would do an interview with them, and then I would make a prediction based upon that information on what I think is going to happen. So, big data and AI is all about automating that process. And currently, the current algorithms, the current systems in place have tried to do that, but they don't know anything about these people in these countries. If you want to automate the process, you want to be able to get as much information about that person as possible. And the only way to do it as an automated piece of software is with a piece of hardware that gathers information. You have to use the devices they have. You have to gather as much as you can with whatever they have available. If it's a smartphone, if it's another device that you put in place that acts as kind of a central bank or something that gathers coordinated data from other people, put in a system where people can rate each other. You would have a score that's always changing. So they would have, as an individual, they would be able to see their credit score, and it would constantly change as they did things. So that would help them to see on an immediate interactive basis, what am I doing that's going to change it? What can I do to make it better?
So there's 3 things you need to gain a competitive advantage with machine learning, especially if you want to predict borrowers' default rates, for example. You need better data, a better model, and to know what to do with the insights gained from that model. So better data is always better. There's never a case where you have a problem by gaining more data or better data that of course works in conjunction with the model. So the model has to be able to suck in that data to gain from it. But that is easy to measure. All these models have a metric associated with it. You can tell whether the model actually is better than another model. So once you have good data, your model predicts better. On holdout data, you can tell for sure that you have a good system. And now you just need to act on those insights. So the model will make predictions, will say this person will have this default rate, this person will have that default rate. And now what? Now you need to act on it. And once you do that, then you get your money.
We're leveraging all of these capabilities of the integrated circuits, the algorithms, and combining them in a way that really changed the world, make it a different place than it ever has been before.
So imagine that all these people all across the world had access to this ability to trade and be able to trade with anyone. What could happen? What could that do for the world?
So now is the perfect time to bring together social media, social money, which is Bitcoin, social data science, which is big data, right? The algorithms are all public. You can look up what's the best algorithm to predict certain things, and then you just do it on good data that you collect. So you are in control of the data. You take it from your social media system, let's say, from your users. You collect that data, you apply algorithms, you predict something, you use that to serve these customers. If they're happy, they will enrich you. Everybody will see that that's happening because there's no secrets. Everything is flat. That's the beauty of today. Today the internet is flat. The money, the new money, Bitcoin is flat. Data science is flat. If you're better, then you're better, and everybody will approve of that. It's basically there's no way to cheat because the truth wins. Just imagine 1994 and you were sending emails. I was sending emails back then, and I loved it, right? It was instantaneous, it was tremendously cool back then. And now we're doing the same thing with Bitcoin, with data science. It's the perfect time.
We have been working diligently to bring an incredible vision to life. A vision that is going to change the way that we interact with one another. Money is really a form of expression. It's a form of communication. And now, billions of people around the world are going to have access to capital. the ability to invest, the ability to trade all over the world. Can you imagine a world where all of these very talented people, imagine them bringing them all together with us? What happens in a free market system when you have more innovators and artists that want to join into that free market system? What happens when competition continues to increase and it stimulates growth and cooperation among these individuals in different cultures that see things from a different perspective? What happens with a team when each team has different gifts and talents that they apply towards a solution or solving a problem, like creating a solution for cancer or something? All these different cultures and ideas and peoples all around the world being able to be brought in to a world market, gain access to capital, and have the means to finally do something about it, to make something happen. This is a story about people. This is a story about humanity. And we are literally implementing solutions in a technology that's going to connect people as powerful or more than the internet has even itself.